And we are going live on Facebook for another edition of Skills Not Pills. So excited today. So here we go, redirecting to Facebook Live. Awesome. So excited to be here again on Skills Not Pills movement. I'm your host, Carrie Hummingbird, as you know, and we've been doing lots of interviews with lots of different kinds of people to bring in, different perspectives on how to cope with life's challenges, all kinds of life challenges, how we can cope with all kinds of life challenges by learning some powerful skills for coping with life and for not only coping but transforming. We've had lots of experts on about transformation as well, to where we can just completely change our view of life and our experience of life. And today, I'm really excited to have Mark Green on us, Lieutenant Colonel Mark Green from the military. He retired the United States military, and he left the military service after 34 years of serving his country for a bigger mission. And his mission now is building resilience and assisting in transition for over 250,000 military members and their families a year who leave the service. And then they have to try to reintegrate into life in the United States, which is such a challenge after what they've been through. He's a recently published author of the book Step Up, Step Out with Echo Montgomery Garrett, an international award-winning author. And their second book is coming out soon, titled Warriors Code 001, that will assist veterans with the 7 steps of resilience. And I think it's the 7 vital steps of resilience. And so that book is in the process of being converted into a curriculum, actually, for veterans to build their resilience and help their transition. So Mark's a speaker, author, and success principle certified coach. And, I'm so delighted to have you on board with Skills Not Pills, Mark. I really enjoyed meeting you with Evolutionary Business Council, and I was so impressed by you. I was like, we got to have lots of conversations. So
yeah.
Tell us a bit about your journey.
Well, a couple of years ago, I left the service, actually just a little over a year ago, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And I got to thinking about, like life events, life changes, and the events that happen in our lives and how we deal with those. And it came to me that I had a skill that I could take people's problems and take a look at them and think differently about them that would create a different outcome. And so I used my own stories in life to build a memoir that shows never give up, never quit, stay in the fight, and don't just allow life to always be the one that guides you. You take charge and change your mindset or change your thinking that will create different outcomes. So I wrote the first book that was a book about my life from my childhood on. And I share some of the difficulties of that. Basically, it was triumphant transition over, allowing things in life that really just knock us down to allow that to control me. So I took charge of my own life, and now I'm helping others do the same. So
such a great thing to do. And I think I was thinking about it this morning. I was thinking about all the challenges that we have in our country going on right now. And I was just thinking about historically, our military and how we use our military. And I was just thinking to myself, we put a lot of pressure on our military to solve our problems. We put a lot of pressure on solving our national problems, our international problems, using our military force. We put a lot of pressure on the military to solve these problems. And, personally, I think that we need to be doing a lot more around diplomacy and understanding and being an active service and a world leader in a way of like educating and teaching and transforming around the globe with what we know, rather than sort of like, leaning on our military to solve everything for us. And that creates a lot of pressure, right? Because, when the people are in the military, I was just thinking about the border issues that we're having right now, where people are trying to come in and these immigrants that are terrified, and trying to escape these regimes are coming in trying to get freedom, and their children are being separated from the parents. Well, in fact, in this country, our own military is separated from their children constantly. You know, there's all kinds of trauma caused by the military lifestyle. So, you know, tell us a little bit about your own journey with PTSD and how you know, the kind of challenges that you faced as a veteran, and that the challenges that you saw all around you, what you did about that. Oh, I can't hear you.
Sorry. When it comes to post-traumatic stress, I believe it can come from all different places, not just military service. I believe a lot of veterans, before they even go into the service, may have some post-traumatic stress, and they're looking for an out to create a job or, you know, to create a future for themselves. And I was probably one of those veterans that had some of that trauma early in life. And sometimes it doesn't always clear out; it stays with you. And, you know, it can be increased by the activities of being in the military or the events that happen within the military. So it can compound. And then when you come home from a war like I did from Afghanistan, and you're separated from your family and you've got other problems and all these things, it's like, what is the solution? You know, we turn to opiates, or we turn to, you know, pills of some type that will, you know, magically fix us. And I'm really more of a self-help person. I believe that there are ways to rewire ourselves through affirmation, through reading, through getting around positive people with positive mindsets. But it doesn't water down the problems. What it does is it gets our minds thinking about different ways to think about our problems. And so because of that, the post-traumatic stress thing, it's real. I mean, we do feel it. We have these deep-seated feelings that, you know, there's this event in our lives that we can't overcome. And one of the things that helped me, what I learned, is that sometimes we can use replacement images of something we've saw that will change our thinking about that event, which makes us better. And that actually happened to me. I learned that I could think differently about something that's happened to me, and I don't have to feel the same way I did feel about it prior. Not only that, but out of those kind of thinkings and that kind of change, that's how I created the 7 R's, which is, you know, a process of going through and kind of doing everything to change, to re-engage differently than we used to before and become more resilient. And that is self-help. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I just tell the others, the veterans, I can be a battle buddy to them. And I share what's worked for me. And that way they can connect and say, yeah, that I understand that. Yeah, I understand that if I remove problems, I can be stronger. If I resolve issues that I've had that are lingering, I can be more resilient. If I reset my mind by thinking differently, yeah, that's going to bring me to a better place than I was before all of those things took place. And it's a real problem. It really is. And, you know, the solution of just giving somebody a bottle of pills and telling them to go off and make it all better doesn't always work.
No, it's more complicated than that. And I think that the truth is that solving that issue or resolving that is going to take more time, right? And it takes more time, it takes more effort, it takes more resources. And so why would the government want to just give you a pill? Because it's less expensive. Right? And it doesn't take as much time to just like, here you go, you know, good luck with that.
Yeah.
So, but you have to advocate for yourself, you know, and that's what Skills Not Pills movement is about advocacy. It's about self-advocacy, self-empowerment, you know, deciding that you've been through these things, right? The set of circumstances that are not resulting in a good outcome in yourself, in your relationships, in your life. And you decide, I want something better. I want a better life for myself. I don't even know it's possible for me because my brain can't even get there right now, but I know I want a better life for myself. That's the decision, right?
Yeah. Right. And the other thing is too, is that, you know, there are some great counseling programs out there. I'm not saying that some of the programs don't work. I don't want to be an advocate for you know, everything that's happening out there with so many great organizations and so many great, you know, there's a lot of great things happening to help people overcome those things. But I say, you know, like there's some ways for me to think about it, to how to get over it. One is just face it. You know, there's an issue there. It's in front of you. What are you going to do to problem solve it? Do you know that there's, you know, get help to face it if you need that, right? Sit down and talk to somebody, or let the air out of the balloon.
Well, let's talk about that. How hard is it to ask for help when you've been sort of like, I mean, asking for help is a vulnerable thing, and you've just been conditioned. I'm projecting, so you can tell me, but it seems like you've just been conditioned to be strong and tough and, you know, get through it, and, you know, and just like power forward and cover it up, and, you know, don't think about that soldier, like get going. And now we're like saying, no, open up and be vulnerable.
Right,
and
right. But see, that's,
and, you know.
you hit the nail on the head, Carrie, because the beauty of being vulnerable and sharing it is that's that release. That's the point where there's a pivot beyond saying, well, I don't have to carry this anymore. I don't have to bottle this up in me. I don't have to like hang, it doesn't have to be stuck inside. Yeah, there's that shield, you know, I'm the egotistical lieutenant colonel with an Army degree, you know, I got degrees and I got all that stuff. But beyond the achievements, it's the heart. I realized that was the piece. What I learned is that's the piece I was missing. I had all the achievement from the military service and going to school, military and civilian education, but I was missing the heart. And then I started getting around heart healers, like in California and people like that. I'm like, whoa, I can't do all this. This is like overload, right?
You got next to Carrie Hummingbird, and I was like, oh,
exactly.
And you're like,
I know. So I realized that there was another piece that I was missing, that I was bottled up, right? And I was afraid to be vulnerable because, one, you know, I've not been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress. So I just know the feelings that have come from some of the events in my life that probably lead to that feeling of that direction, that there was probably some traumatic stress in my life. It's in my book. I share it fully. But I really think that we got to listen to those alarms in our body. And when we know something's kind of out of whack, stop and rest. You know, that's my first R in the book, rest. Rest your mind, rest your body, give it time for the universe to catch up with what just happened to you in your life, and then to start making decisions on how you want to change it.
I like that rest because it's like a pause, right? It's like put it on pause. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then step back from it and take a better look. It's like, exactly, rather than keep going in the same, you know, mouse wheel, like I just got to catch up. I just got to keep running away from it. I just got to keep moving. I just got to keep, no, like stop, because it's not working. And I kind of feel that way about our whole country right now. It's not working. So stop, take a step back.
Right.
Look at this from a different perspective. Like, how can we fundamentally change? And this is the healing process, right? I mean, this is the healing process that we individually go through, and that we can go through in our families and our relationships. Like, these are the same R's you're talking about are applicable on like micro level, like human being, one human, all the way to like global. Like,
exactly.
It's the same process.
Now, I understand that there may be some challenges sometimes. It could really be a mental health issue, and that does require different interventions. But you know what? It's how we think. It's how we act. It's how we feel. And we decide those things. We let those negative images in, or we let those negative thinking come in, when we really, if we meditate, if we take time to slow down and rest, we start realizing that we are in control of our thought processes. We are in control of our actions. We are in control of our feelings. Not that feelings aren't going to pop up. They're going to, but one of the best things my meditation coach told me one day, she said, think of events or things that happen like clouds. Every one of them is a cloud. She said, you get to choose which cloud you're going to engage with, or you're going to let it go by. So it's a choice for us.
And if you're in reaction, I totally agree with Mark. First step, rest. Yes. If you're in reaction, you're like a tired child. Just think like little toddlers, they get grumpy and they start like having a tantrum. Why is that? because they're tired.
Yeah.
You know, take a rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is what I've been doing, because I've been acting like a toddler lately. So my lovely husband is so patient. He's like, rest.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. It's so true. It's because that's the first step. And then, you know, like the process that I really use, and it's very simple. And so, okay, so here's the mindset vet in a 30-second commercial. Rest your body, rest your mind, reconnect with others and yourself so you can reground yourself, reset your mind. So your mind is clear, your mind is focused, your mind is you know where you're going and you know when and what, and use the tools that are out there to do that for the reset piece. Remove problems that you have. If you haven't fixed the screen that's broken for 6 months, fix the damn thing. I mean, you know, take care of small problems so they're not staring at you every day in every way. You know, recon your future, which means plan, set goals. And you know what, if you're trying to get through something, set small goals and appreciate yourself every time you hit one of them. You know, make yourself feel good about what you've done to make yourself better. And then in the end, re-engage. And when you re-engage after all that, you're like, hey, I'm rocking it, you know? And so it works for physical or mental trauma. And I was like, wow, I really have something here. This is really powerful. So I just know that it's working for me. It's working for others. People are calling me. People are saying, wow, Mark, I can't believe what's happened because of what you shared. You know, I'm getting calls from Canada to speak. It's really starting to permeate the culture. And it's tough because first responders and warriors and fighters and, you know, people in the military, they've had it tough. You know, you move around, you're living out of boxes, you're moving every 2 years, your family's in an uproar, you got to find the new YMCA, the new church, you got to find new friends, new restaurants, everything every 2 years. You become resilient just through the changes, but it doesn't take away from the problems.
No, and it doesn't go away. You know, I want to say my dad lived that lifestyle. He grew up that way.
Yeah.
In his early life. Like they moved, I don't know how many times through high school that he moved, maybe 20 times. I mean, that's more than how old you are in high school, right?
Yeah.
And I remember my dad passed away last year, but like even the 2 years before he passed, they downsized from a really big home into a smaller one. And he had to kind of go through his things. He'd been storing like all these model railroader magazines for like years. Keeping them. My mom's like, why do you have these things? You're never going to look at them. It's ridiculous. You know, she kept trying to get rid of it. And when they were moving, it kind of like it hit a head, right? Because they had to downsize. And my dad, like, he had this moment, like it wasn't a moment. It was like a few weeks where he just like flipped out, you know, like shut down. He was upset, you know, he was really angry. And it took him a while to process it and figure out like, why am I having this? What is this about? And he realized it's because of his stuff. Like because he was always having to move his stuff all the time, you know, in these boxes. And then stuff would get lost and it would be missing and he wouldn't have, you know, and it was like, it was a deep wound inside of him from that lifestyle.
Yeah. You know, the other thing that comes up from thinking about the transitions, and that includes the deployments and people coming in and out of those, is that we, you know, when we come back, our lives are not the same. So now we've got a new set of problems. We got we got new things that we have to deal with we didn't have before. And people change over time. You know, if you're gone from somebody for a year, when you reconnect with them, it's not the same as it was a year ago. When I came home, my wife's like, you're kind of in the way. You know, I mean, she had her schedule, she had her routine, she had her battle rhythm, you know, and she, you know, she's very independent, but she had to become independent because I was gone. And so there's that transition that we have to deal with that nobody else does. Not only that, but veterans are, you know, you can have a 4-year veteran or a 30-year veteran, and they come at things from different perspectives, because some of us are highly educated. I have a law degree. You know, I have a master's degree. but that young specialist that's only been in the Army a couple of years and is dealing with new babies and new problems and all these other things, and then he dealt with some really serious stuff on the front lines. He's got a whole different set of problems than somebody else that's been in the service for 30 years and has worked through the personal and professional development. So you have to take them where they're at and take them where they need to go. And that is a challenge, and it's also a skill. And that's why I say skills, not pills too, right? You got to have the skills based on where you're at to where you're going. And that's why guys like me, like the mindset better, that
even those new recruits, like they could be taught skills for reintegration. You know, they could be taught skills for like, okay, you had to hold this in. Now we want you to release it. Like now you've got to become a human being again so you can go back to your family and your community and be a human, you know? And because I think there's something really like that human that has to shut down to do some of the work that military people do. Like you can't be in your full heart open human self. You know, you can't. It's just not that job. So, and I think there's other jobs like that too, but I think that this is a particularly unique case, right? I mean, this military stuff.
Yeah, and so I know that we're doing good things for the right reasons. We're actually giving away 5,000 copies of my book in September.
Wow.
To veterans across the country through a nonprofit that's called Operation Supply Drop. We're doing a Vet Fest Live in Missouri where we have music, barbecue, and golf for the day, and then let the veterans enjoy. And so those kind of things I know are important for veterans, and then that's our way of being able to connect with that community, because they're talking about putting the books in the USOs across the country, so when they're traveling they can read the book, and that will help them see, hey, you know what, I don't have to stay there. There are solutions. And you know, my real goal underneath of it all is to save lives, because take them from where they're at and say, look, don't check out. I don't want that. And, you know, after I spent 5 years as an inspector general dealing with soldiers' problems every day, I realized that the universe was giving me all of that to prepare me for what I'm going to do after I left the service. And this is it. And so now I've listened to all the problems. I've listened to the, you know, I don't have enough money. I'm having a failed relationship, you know, whatever it is. And I was able to take them and plug them into the resources that they needed to continue going. And also then you give them hope, you know, because I feel like I'm that messenger of hope. And that is a big job, right? I mean, because now I'm one guy saying, you know what, just come this way and we'll get you from where you're going to where you need to be. And don't give up. I mean, that's the message. And the universe said, you are the messenger. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure you want me to do that? That's a big, big, tall order there. But I embraced it. And I embody the change I want to see in others now. Without doing that, you really are not who you say you are. You know, don't put on a face of something you're not. Be who you are, and be strong in who you are. And that will get you much further. And then you become of service to others. And really, that should be the goal of anybody that's in the self-help business.
Now, I know you and I talked a lot about, when we met together, we talked about veteran suicide and, you know, what a big problem that is now. And I think that is like a red flag to our government to say, oops, like we need to have a lot more skills and empathy and mental health processing. And it's not like those pills or whatever they thought was working. That's not working because, you know, the veterans are coming back and they don't really know they don't know what to do with all of these, you know, everything, the whole big kebab of it, right? Like what I saw, what I witnessed, what I did when I was away. Right. And then come back and now I'm distant from my spouse. I'm not getting the support. I don't know who my kids are. I just moved again. Everyone's unhappy. Like, you know, there needs to be a lot more assistance.
Yeah, and I think that's where the mindset piece of it comes in. Like, for instance, the meditation, right? Because the subconscious mind is so much more powerful. 85% of our change comes from that and not from our fight or flight response, right? So the 15% that you get from the fight or flight is where they get stuck because that's all we know, right? Well, somebody's threatening, I gotta respond. And so that subconscious mind really is a powerful thing that probably it does not get accessed enough to help the change. And I saw that in myself because I wasn't using my subconscious mind the way I should have. And I learned now, and I meditate all the time. I have a meditation coach in Canada. And So that has changed how I see myself and how it kind of rewired me through the subconscious. And I think that's a powerful piece that gets missed.
Well, and I was also thinking to myself, because I actually, I got invited to do a workshop for, the teachers on bases, the teachers that teach the kids that are on the bases. They're not in the military themselves, but they teach those kids, right? And I got invited in Killeen to do a little talk for those teachers, about how to ground, like what can you do? Because there's big emotion, like when one parent, another parent dies, or they go away and they don't come back. Like those kids go through so much powerful, really painful stuff, and holding a space for that is difficult,
really
And so they brought me in to teach like some skills around how can they process their own emotions, because they're taking it on, right? They want to help, and they're caretakers in a way for these kids, right? And they're trying to like, how do I take care of me so that I can show up for this kid, and how do I create a space where I can let this kid be angry, because the current configuration is kind of like, no, we can't have that because it'll get out of control, right? But if you don't ever deal with the anger and those big emotions with these kids, they're growing up with half a heart,
Right.
They're growing up shut down because they don't have any way of releasing the experience that is happening for them.
The Army I know the Army side of it has a lot of family programs and a lot of things that they integrate into helping the families. They really do. If you dig into that side of it, you'd see thousands of resources, some wonderful things that they're doing, but also I believe that it's three things. It's mind, body, and spirit, because I learned that as the martial artist,
Martial artist too, huh?
That, our minds first and our bodies, if our bodies are strong and we're not putting toxic things in them, and we're not creating, problems, and we're taking care of ourselves. And also we have a strong spirit, and that doesn't mean that it's a religious spirit. It just means a spirit within, whatever that means to you, because it's different for everybody and everybody has a different story. But if they use those three things and they focus on those three things to have strong mind, have a strong body, and have a strong spirit, that makes them easier to transition when the time comes to make a transition or a change of any kind if they're stuck in any way. And I firmly believe in that. And that's the reason why there's a black belt draped over my boots on the front of my book, because it's mind, body, and spirit and military service. So those are the two things I know. And so, but also I want to thank you so much, Carrie, for having me. This is a great experience for me to be able to share, and also to listen to the viewpoints along the line of all of the Skills or Pills facilitators of this event. It's just a great thing that you're doing, and you're a wonderful person. You are so bubbly and so full of energy and so full of life. When I met you, I was like, okay, this lady's going somewhere. And I just want you to know that it's a blessing to be a part of this and to have me here today. So.
Thank you for that, Mark. And, this is a time of reassessment. This time of the year in June is like reevaluate, reassess, prune, like what are you spending your energy on that you don't need to be spending it on? How are you going to focus your energy towards what really needs to get done the rest of the year, right? That's that midpoint. We're on the solstice today. So happy solstice.
There you go.
And, I've been really in this dark night of the soul over the last, week or so. And some of it had to do with just, that total questioning of everything. Like, why am I doing this? What is this for? And is this really what I want to be doing? Because I really like drum circle, like drum journey circle, I want to go like have visions and like drum, like I want to like talk about the good things. I want to be like Mother Mary, why am I doing this? Right. And I've questioned it the whole way along, but this is where God wanted me. So I just kept doing it. And today I realized this morning, made me cry. So my makeup is running, whatever, who cares? But this morning before this broadcast, I started crying because I was like, oh God, the reason why this is so important is because I see all the things going on in the world and in our country that I find like heart-centered people like just can't understand what is going on here. I can't fix all of it. There's only one of me. Like that, it's overwhelming, the feeling of like seeing all this, and I want to rush out and I want to go help. Like I want to go to the border and I want to be like, are you people crazy? Like I want to just show up, you know, and help these kids and look at these people and say, what are you doing? I want to go to the White House and be like, what are you talking about? Like, why would you do this? Like, I want to go all these places and I can't. I'm only one person. I only have one body. And this morning I was like, oh, that's why you want me to do this, God. You want me to wake people up.
Well, see, and you think about it, you know, you have a big idea, right? And you have a clear message. And not only that, but you also have an army of advocacy behind you with the Evolutionary Business Council.
I know.
And so, you know, don't think that you're ever alone. You've got all of us and others behind you in your pursuits. And I just think it's such an onerous thing that you're doing, and I'm just happy to be a part of it in any way. So thank
you so much, Mark. Well, I'm so glad to meet you. I'm so glad to share your work with the world, because I really believe in what you're doing. You know, the thing about it is when we're going through a challenge, we trust people who have been there. We trust people who get it. And you are one of those people. You understand what veterans go through. You get that lifestyle and you get the challenges, and you've been on the inside for decades and you understand it. And now you're in this like beautiful spot where, you know, you can focus yourself on this almost like a charity, like you were talking about, like, hey, I'm set, I'm good, and I'm not just going to sit around and golf. I need to do something. And this is the kind of person this man is, because he has enough income right now. He could just sit around and, you know, he doesn't have to work. He did his time, right? He did his service. He did his time. He could just kick back and go on vacation now with his family. Instead, he's here on this broadcast, and he's showing up, and he's out there helping people, because that's the kind of person you are, Mark. So thank you so much for all you're doing in the world. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, same to you, Carrie.
All right, you guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. How can people connect with you, Mark?
You can find my website on www.mark.green.
Mark.green.
And my book is on Amazon and all the other platforms under Step Out, Step Up, and you can find it. And the other book is at the publishers now and will be released on 1st of September.
1st of September. So can you guys set up a pre-order, Mark?
I will. I'm doing all that fun stuff behind the scenes. So
he's learning how to do all that from the Evolutionary Business Council.
That's right. That's right.
Great.
All right.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mark. And we're going to see you guys next time. We'll actually see you tomorrow. We have another interview tomorrow on Skills Not Pills. So join us live at noon Central Standard Time with Ava Venari. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Bye.